Hey everyone, Mrhappy here, and welcome to Mondays with Mrhappy, aka Mrhappy Mondays, a weekly Q&A show where you ask me questions and I answer them. I'm almost free from the editing dungeon. In fact, as I'm recording this, all the videos are uploading. I have to thumbnail them, give them descriptions, tags, playlist them all, do chapters in the description, so I'm almost there. Almost there. Please tune in October 13th to learn more. I'll be going over them on my live stream that day too, just to share my thoughts on everything and just to give people a place to discuss everything that's going on. So it's late. It's like 9:30, so I'm gonna get this over with so I can go to bed. It's also a Saturday. I'm recording this on a Saturday because I'm actually gonna be away Sunday evening and Monday, and I won't be back till Tuesday. So I figured I get it done. Thank you to our sponsors over on Patreon for supporting. I don't know why you do it because you don't get anything from it. You support here and that's it, but thank you because you're awesome for doing it. And thank you to our patrons of Darkness, Kuja on Genova, and Kern Ione, who've gone above and beyond in their support. Thank you to everyone for tuning in. Now I just need to survive this Q&A, and then next week hopefully have a little bit more energy for it. Hashtag Mondays with Mrhappy. Hey, Haps, won't ask if it's I this time with the embargo lift drawing closer. All right, thank you. Instead, just going to remind you to slow down and breathe. No. As for my question, what are the chances they'll add more companions to the trust system other than Estinian when I'm fighting alongside Ralbon or one of the Alliance leaders? So, we don't have any definitive answers. I assume that for the story mode stuff, we may see people other than Estinian, similar to how Lena, for example, could join us for the Shadowbringers ones. As for Ralbon, though, they had made mention a long time ago, I think even before 5.0 released, that they eventually wanted to add a trust-like system to the lower-level main scenario dungeons. Something that isn't squadrons in particular, just something to help people get through the story in case queue times were too long or anything like that. And they mentioned the Alliance leaders, so it's not unfeasible that the Realm Reborn stuff could see us fighting alongside Ralbon. Maybe they'll make it depending on the Grand Company that you're in, but there's nothing definitive. They haven't. There's no way to know this, so that's all I can go off of is just a few statements that they've made. Hashtag Mrhappy Mondays. Hey Haps, hi. For the next expansion, which characters from our current group would you like to see come with us? Do you think we'll get an extensive shakeup to the cast, or will it be pretty much the same characters? I think Graha is most likely to continue venturing with us after 6.0. However, the rest of the cast, I suspect, will probably not be put to, like, the sidelines, but they won't be joining us for our main adventure. I think they're going to give us some new peeps to go and do our next whatever we're doing. I think they'll just give us like some new cast members to start getting attached to, both in the form of things like trusts or just characters that we're traveling with frequently. But honestly, Graha and maybe Estinian are the only characters I really see us having from the main cast as we go on to the next story. Not that anything's going to happen to the other ones, or will it? Just I think they'll be more prevalent. Hashtag Mrhappy Mondays. Hey Haps, hope you're doing well. Looking forward to Wednesday very much. You and me both, trust me. My question is, in the time before embargo ends, how often do you have to reshoot unrelated footage for other videos because you accidentally let something slip? You know, for me, I'd really struggle to filter out what's from the tour and what's not after such huge info dumps. So in case you haven't noticed, I haven't released any videos since the media tour. So the only ones that would have happened with are my weekly Q&As and my Stranger of Paradise videos, and that doesn't happen. I'd say never. I'm really good at letting nothing slip. And I live stream every day, 7 hours a day, although I've been cutting my time short just to work more on the videos. And if it was going to happen, it's going to happen there, you know, and you can't reshoot something when it's live. So I've always been good about that. The closest I came, actually, to a spoiler or a leak was I almost started humming one of the musical themes that I had heard. And I stopped myself because, you know, that's nothing major. Most people probably wouldn't even catch it, but I didn't even want that. So that's the closest I ever came. And that was live. So if someone had heard that, they would have been like, what's he humming there? Reddit front page leaks Mrhappy. And that would have been fun. So that's the closest that I ever came. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Good afternoon, Mr. Happy. I wish it was only afternoon, but it's fair. It's afternoon for you. How's the final stretch of Media Tour treating you? Hope you're not getting overworked, that you were able to finish all the videos you had planned. I actually finished all the videos I had planned, came up with a couple more, and there's one video I'm contemplating doing, but I'm not sure if I will, and or I'm not sure if I have enough time to get it done. But it's also one that's not like time. Like I can do any of these videos. Like if I don't finish a video before embargo lift, there's nothing to stop me from doing that video still. So that's what I'm thinking, is that I'll probably take that idea and just push it till after, because I don't think it's that necessary for my one video idea to be there at embargo lift. That's not even the question. A long-time watcher and Twitch lurker finally have a question. Sure. With the extra lore exposition system they have implemented in Shadowbringers, the lore recorder, and the field notes, do you think it would be a good idea to provide more in-depth lore within the game in that form instead of side quests that explain them? No. I actually don't. I think that in some games, it is better to hint than to tell. I do not think Final Fantasy XIV is that game. I don't think it benefits from having more readable lore versus having more lore that is presented in front of the player. Now, I understand there's not time for absolutely everything, and if there's something the developers want to tell through means like this, then that's perfectly welcome, as long as it's supplementary to everything that's happening around it. My problem with the field notes in particular was that they basically were, I'm not going to be continuing the story for a while, so let me throw some things in there, almost as like an epilogue to what you experience. And I think we got to see what the worst of that system can possibly bring, even if it was well intended. So I actually would prefer not to go this route, but to exercise it occasionally. Just focus more on telling the stories than writing them down. And I know Matsuno likes to write a lot of things down, which is why we get things like that for Bozja and Ivalice and whatnot. But I don't think that's when 14's being its strongest. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Good day, Happy. Hello. Long-time viewer, first-time asker. Welcome. Recently, there was an interview with Yoshi and Matsuno. Oh, hey, I was just talking about that. Well, I guess I was talking about Matsuno. I didn't talk about this. It seemed to more or less disprove a lot of the community speculation about the ongoing Ivalice story and its supposed end in Bozja. I was curious if you were aware of that, what your thoughts and hopes. Yeah, I was going to release a video, but Media Tour stuff, so I just decided, maybe I'll release it eventually. Again, not time-sensitive that I release this. Most people probably haven't seen those quotes, to be honest. It was about what I expected. I thought a lot of people were blowing things out of the water when it came to the initial translations and implications. Because just said, it's because of the bluntness of translations. When what Matsuno said was translated from Japanese to English, to a lot of people it sounds very blunt. And it's easy to, especially in text exclusively, kind of rewrite that in your head to take it in a way that makes more sense to you. Like if you read that in English, you wouldn't assume that there were good intentions or that it was amicable in what had been described. However, I've seen it enough at this point. I've seen translations do that where they go from one language to the other, and it just doesn't. It's just not interpreted well enough by the individuals who are taking it in. So I figured that this was pretty much what had actually happened, but that doesn't mean I didn't treat this news with a great amount of joy, because it was good to see that I wasn't wrong, that my initial thing saying that people were, blowing it out of proportion, that was correct, and not that I had been wrong, and that he actually said, no, I actually hate that guy. I never want to work with Yoshi P again. So I'm just glad that I wasn't wrong, that I thought people were blowing it out of the water. And this was, for me, like I said, this was expected. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. There's our first no hello for the day. I think so. Yeah, that sounds about right. With the new horde of players coming to 14 and really enjoying the gold sausage, do you believe they'll update with new prize and minigames? Yeah, they already told us like 6 months ago it's getting a new minigame. So, gotta keep on top of that, because, that I always, obviously I'm an encyclopedia of knowledge. I'm always paying attention, trying to see everything that I can. So I don't realistically expect everyone to be able to keep up with the same amount of news that I do. And even I miss things, so... can't be perfect on that front. But yeah, we already know they've always updated it. They've never not updated it. It's just they don't update it like every patch like they do other things. So yeah, of course. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hi, Happy. You've talked briefly recently about simplifying certain job combos with one button, and we know for sure Gunbreaker is getting this. They had mentioned that during the live letter. Heard you mention this works better for certain jobs than others. Which would you like to see this happen for, and why are certain jobs better suited to this treatment? Personally, button bloat is a huge turnoff for me. That's why I'm stuck with Paladin at 70. 70 is also one of the bloatiest jobs in the game, so I really don't blame you for that on Paladin in particular. So some jobs are innately kind of in tune with it. They basically have a button they don't press very often, its function is very linear, and there's not really much in the way of, I guess, testing to see how well the player knows their job by seeing if they can press a certain number of buttons in a sequence. I think a good example of that is Dragoon. Dragoon, I think it would get rid of a lot of button bloat, but I don't necessarily think, again, that it's super necessary for them to combine all of those. But it would work, in theory, because essentially Dragoon strings between two combos, and that's all that they do. Whereas a job like Monk, you can't suddenly condense it. Now, Monk, of course, not a super button bloaty job, but the idea of it works for some jobs better than others, you know, applies here. It does not work well for Monk because of the way their skills flow between each other. Every single GCD is a decision about what your next GCD will be out of a choice of 3 different skills. And that's important to the flow of the job. Simplifying it down to 2 or 3 one-button combos essentially eliminates that, and then they can't intermingle. Those combos have to function as 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, not 1, 2 here, 1, 2 there, like mixing them all up like you normally do now. Most of the casters, it doesn't work for the majority of their skills. Red Mage, of course, an example where it should work because of the way that their finishers work. We already see now that some of their skills transform, and skills that transform into other skills for momentary uses, I think is a very good use of the one-button combination thing. Paladin needs Jesus, because Paladin's problem isn't its button bloat with its offensive skills. It's everything around it that is bloated to all hell. That's the problem that Paladin has. So you could eliminate a button or 2 on Paladin, I suppose, but you still have, you know, all of the different skills between your request cat window, and they still want you to have Clemency, and then you have Veil, and you have Sheltron and Cover, and you have all these things on Paladin now that, what do you want to do? You want to get rid of them? Kinda, yeah, almost, just because there's just so many buttons. So it doesn't help some jobs as much as it should. The jobs it does help maybe don't need it, and then the few cases where it works, it works. I think Gunbreaker's Gnashing Fang combo is a good example of a place where it works. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hi, Mr. Happy. Hope you're doing great. I have some Mediator questions, but nothing spoilery. Good. With the oh, hello, by the way. With the Mediator videos being so close to releasing, are there any other streamers' videos you're super excited to watch to see what they talked about? Do you know how many total streamers were selected? How many of them are your friends with or have met? So, okay, and if anyone else can answer, how did you select anyway? So I don't know how they do a selection process. I think somebody asked that last week, and I was like, there's no way for me to know that. I don't work at the company. But as for watching other people's content, I'm not going to lie, I'm more excited to just talk to them about it as opposed to watching their videos. Basically what I do is I go around and I find all the videos and I give them a view and I like them, and maybe I leave them on for the algorithm. But I often don't actually pay attention to the video because after working on those exact topics for weeks on end, I'm not going to lie, it's kind of the last thing I want to do is to watch a video when I've been staring at video editing software. I'd much rather be like, hey, you know, what are you doing right now? You want to talk about this, talk about that? And that I probably plan on doing with quite a few people. I'll be visiting live streams or talking to them on social media or things like that. But I'll also make sure that I do the courtesy of respecting that they've put a lot of work into that content. I'll, of course, tell people to find it, find out which ones people are really enjoying, make sure to pass those around. I'll do my part as a member of the community on that front. But in terms of watching the video, at that point, I'm so exhausted of the idea of watching. I don't even want to watch my own videos at this point, and I have to see if there's any sort of grammatical errors or double recordings that I forgot to delete or things like that. So I'm kind of sick of YouTube right now. I don't even want to think about it. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hello, Mr. Happy. Hope you're having a great day. You too. Do you think the legacy players will have an extra cutscene or dialogue in Endwalker since it'll be the final and closing bit of the Heidelin and Zodiac arc? I don't know, but I can tell you, we better. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hello. Hello. Greetings. Greetings. Got a few questions, so here we go. All right, I like the bluntness of it. I'm down for it today. One, I was wondering for the lottery system for Ishgard, do you lose the money on the bid if you lose the lottery? No, so the lottery is just selecting who actually gets to buy the house. But essentially the money you're putting forward is just proving that if you won, you could buy it. So it's just like a down payment, but you get the whole down payment back if you are not selected. So the lottery is just for selecting the names itself. You don't have to worry about the game just taking all of your gil because you didn't win. 2, a summoner losing its dots. You see this as them prepping for the next spellcaster to be dot-based, so it won't have to be a tug of war. No, I think it's just an identity change. You know, since A Realm Reborn, people have said, white, summoner is... This isn't summoner, this is a World of Warcraft warlock. I think it's literally just about getting away from that. I don't think there's any sort of ulterior motives for other jobs they're planning on doing in the future. Now, of course, that doesn't mean they won't do what you've suggested and have a spellcaster that is more dot-focused. Or any DPS job, I suppose, for that matter. Another one that would be dot-focused. But I don't think that this is causation and correlation. Or at least not the causation and correlation you've suggested. 3, since we have a good chunk of super bosses, of the remaining, which would you want as part of a trial or raid? My pick is Penance. Penance is, quite frankly, one of the worst designed fights in all of Final Fantasy history. Kind of up there with Ozma, but Penance is just a test of patience. It's the only boss in the entire franchise. I don't feel bad just paying Yojimbo as much as he wants to Zanmato, because dealing with it otherwise is just a form of... It's just tedious. It's like a Final Fantasy 11 boss that is just not fun. That's how I feel about Penance. So I understand that if he was in 14, probably wouldn't be that tedious. It would actually probably work pretty well, having to destroy one hand and then weaken the other hand and then destroy that and to just make sure back and forth that he never has both hands for when he's charging up his ultimate skill. Probably be simplified a lot, and as such it would actually probably be an okay encounter in Final Fantasy 14. We have the weapons, we have Omega, we have Shinryu. I don't care about like Chronodia or anything, or any of the Final Fantasy 1 like 20th anniversary or Dawn of Souls bosses. I don't really care. The Emperor has his heaven form. I don't really care about that. Iron Giant from 3. Yeah, exciting. 4, I mean, I guess there is some bonus stuff in some of those, like, you know, Proto-Babel, you know, Giant of Babel. I'm hoping we fight the Giant of Babel in 4. I'll be shocked if we don't fight the Giant of Babel. There's too many Final Fantasy 4 things, between Dark Knight going Paladin, between Shadowbringers Endwalker, the Moon, the pre-order bonuses. Like, there's no way. There's no way. Come on, we gotta fight him. 5 already said Omega and Shinryu. I don't really care much for Enuo. I suppose they could do that, but I'm not. By the way, my foot itches. That's why I'm leaning over. 6, there's the dragons. I don't really care about that. We have enough dragons in this game as it is. 7, we have the weapons. 8 is really just Omega and Ultima, so there's nothing fancy there. We already fought Eden, so 9 has Ozma. We fought Ozma twice already. We have him as a mount. 10, you've said Penance. We already kind of have. I guess these lunar summons are kind of like Dark Aeons, so I guess that counts. There is the actual design of Ultima, Omega, and oh, what's his friggin' face from Nemesis? I think it is from the arena. 11 has a million bosses that you could still pull from. 12, they're kind of just renames of all like common Final Fantasies. Even Yasmat we already have. 13, I do not care for Bunavelza or any of the 13 super bosses. Quite frankly, I already have some that are like it. 15 has bosses that are reminiscent from other games, so I don't think there's anything there. No, you know what? There are a lot left, but none of them are that interesting to me when I list them all out loud. I'm okay with them referencing stuff from other Final Fantasies, but I love when 14 reminds us that Final Fantasy is about pulling ideas from other games or recurring themes like Chocobos and Mughals and Ifrit and Shiva, but then doing something with them on its own. And it's done that for the most part, but when they do that is when I'm most excited. Not when they're borrowing stuff from other Final Fantasies, even if it is really cool from time to time. Hashtag Mr. Happy Monday. Hi, Happy. Hey, quick question. Do you think it'll be possible to do your MSQ while you're visiting another data center? I guess my question is now, can you do it when you're visiting another server right now? And I believe the answer is yes. In which case, yes. I do believe you'll be able to do it when you're visiting another data center. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hey, Haps, how you doing? I'm doing all right. You doing all right? I'm doing all right. Since the release of the full trailer and the job action trailer, the main theme of our Endwalker lives in my head rent-free. What's 14 music that got stuck in your head that you really love? It's easier to answer what songs aren't living rent-free in my head. Because I think the answer is quicker, because that's like most themes. I think the first one that really did it was Garuda, and that's going all the way back to 1.0. So I'm going to say that. I'm going to say that just because that one was the first one that really did that in 14, I'm gonna make my answer Garuda, and I love all the renditions of Garuda to this day. Hashtag Mr. Happy Monday. Hi there, Haps. Hi. Hope you're doing swell. as tall as I can. I saw that you're shaking your head when someone offered you a newish Tola doll. So maybe 2 will change it to... Nope. 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 Don't want it. Don't want it. Don't give it to me. One, with Endwalker being the finale, do you think they will tie the finale to the raid like they did with Coils? I mean, the raid seems to be dealing with the machinations of La Habrea. Probably stuff he left behind on the moon, if I had to guess. Especially because we've seen the creation stuff that's already there. That's just waiting. So he probably has a lab on the moon. I can hear my other cat trying to get into the room, so I'll probably let her in after this question. So I think sort of, but I don't think it's so much a finale there as it is giving the one Ascian that basically didn't get any good story, giving him one last opportunity to be more than the ha ha ha, I took your friend's body, I'm evil, and I will defeat you kind of villain. You know, the comic book, you know, on the back of a cereal box villain like La Habrea was. Do you have any plans to bring back the Bestiary series? I think about it occasionally, but then I think about what I would actually do for it. And ultimately, that series is me just going to a wiki page and reading it back to people with a few pictures on the screen. I know some people would like to take in information in different ways, and essentially that's all I'm offering with that. It's just one of the methods of entertainment. Sometimes people don't want to read a wiki page, but they do not mind it being read to them. But I'm always back and forth. So I won't say yes, I won't say no. I'll waffle a little bit on this one. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hey Happy, how's it going? It's going alright. You doing alright? I'm doing alright. First time asker, but been watching your stuff for a while. Sorry, maybe a long question, but I don't know if it's been answered before. I'm curious what you think what do you think though? I've been playing on and off since 1.0, but I haven't followed the lore much. So wondering though if you think Endwalker is going to tie anything in with 1.0. Having noticed a few things how 1.0 ended, could be Endwalker like the moon and the anima portal popping up all over. Well, so it wasn't an anima portal in 1.0, it was Onimos. Onimos is the void beast that we encounter throughout the Crystal Tower. He's essentially an all-consuming void scent that, you know, we deal with on occasion. But he's a type of void scent, it appears. As for things that tie in, the only thing I think we really should tie in, that is speculated right now, but I'd like them to make any sort of mention, is who is Travanchet. Travanchet was an Ascian in 1.0. He's actually responsible in his entirety for Alexander. He's what gives Maid and Dion basically the core piece that allows them to power Alexander, and why Alexander is almost unstoppable when the goblins summon him. And as such, we don't know what Ascian he was. Some people think he was Fandaniel. Some people think it was La Habrea, but nobody knows. I'd just like to get some hard confirmation about who Travanchet actually was, which of the Ascians he actually was. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. How you doing? I'll take that as a hello. How you doing? You doing alright? I'm doing alright. I asked this question last week, but I think you misunderstood me. I asked how you keep from being frustrated when you miss moves because the tank is pulling. Specifically, I meant to referring to in-dungeon mob pulls, not boss pulls. Like when a tank pulls 1 or 2 mob sets and stops for a moment just as you start the 3rd GCD, tank goes sprinting for a wall-to-wall. What do? You follow them, and you hit the mobs. That's it. Like, that's not frustrating at all compared to losing a GCD on a boss, which then completely screws your timers over for the entirety of the rest of the fight. You're 1 GCD behind endlessly, and any other mistake is even worse on top of that. So yeah, this is not, you just follow them and hit the mobs. There's nothing that bad to be upset about. It's a momentary difference of what is essentially nothing in what is essentially nothing content. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hey Haps, how you doing? I'm doing alright. You doing alright? I'm doing alright. Long time watcher, first time asker, so a bonus of a job of your choice being introduced to 7.0. So we're getting Puppet Master. Enjoy. Sorry if this has been asked, but I was wondering what your top 5 RPGs are that are not a Final Fantasy game. Love your videos and thanks for the entertaining content. Thank you. Tough question. I'm actually very critical of most RPGs, even in the Final Fantasy franchise. There are games in that franchise that people love that I'm like, I've got opinions about that. Chrono Trigger is one of the top. Definitely sitting up there. Cross in the meantime at the very bottom practically. Some recent games even that, like Fae Tactics was a lot of fun. I mean, I like Tactics, but because I tried playing it like years and years after it came out, it always felt dated. I've always waited for a new version of Tactics to come out. I'll probably enjoy Triangle Strategy though. Speaking of which, Octopath easily on that list. Fae Tactics recent, but I'll throw it on that list too. Super Mario RPG personal favorite, easy game, not super heavy on the RPG elements, but a big time favorite. And I'm, by the way, sticking largely to turn-based or ATB style. I'm not including games that may be considered role-playing, but are not traditional. Like, Divinity is close to being on there, but I never really finished the Divinity games because they end up being too long. And I can only do so much of that more D&D-esque style RPG before I kind of put away. But then there's ARPGs. You know, I was in love with the Diablo franchise for the longest time. So there's that. So I don't really know what to fill that last slot with because it's ever changing with me. It's just never consistent. But I mean, I've also played so many that it's easier for me. It's kind of like one of those other questions we had earlier. It's easier for me to tell you the ones I don't like than it is for me to tell you the ones that I do, because I like most of them, but the ones that I don't like, I vehemently don't like. So, yeah, that's a mix. I've also completely skipped a lot of franchises because of either high barriers for entry, like the Trails series, the sheer number of games you have to play, or being introduced to the series in a bad way, like Breath of Fire. Breath of Fire 5 was the first one I played. I think you can understand when I say also the only one that I played, which is doing that series is an injustice. But are you really surprised that I rented it when I was a kid, played it, and I was like, I don't need to play the other 4 games. So yeah, there's things like that. But that's why Final Fantasy has always been there, because Final Fantasy is like, okay, even if I don't like it, I'm at least going in with, like, I've liked most of the games in this franchise, so it's easier for me to get invested in them. Alright, just so you know, it's after 10 p.m. now, so I think I'll do this one, and then I'm going to lightning round the rest. I also saw some ones that I'm just not going to answer, so I'll let you know when we go back to that one, though. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hi, Mr. Happy. Hi. How are you doing? Tired, but thank you for asking. Hope you're getting some rest. No. Watched you for a long time. I want to ask 2 quick questions for you for my first time. Cool. Let's get these here. Following up on the one question regarding how difficult crafting will be without the HQ-based mats, you mentioned intermediate mats can be high quality. What do you think moving forward how crafting food and potions will be with the majority of the mats only being NQ potentially with one item HQ? So here's the thing. The majority of people who craft things nowadays don't care about the quality of the item. They maybe care on the very first day when they haven't figured out exactly what they need to do. But most crafters who do this, they do not care if they have HQ mats or if they have NQ mats. They just craft it. And now, I'm sure that changes with expert crafting, and I'm sure we're going to see a lot more expert crafting going into Endwalker, but it doesn't matter for most people. Any experienced crafter, it's not going to be that major of an adjustment for them, most likely. And I don't think the idea is to make it a major adjustment. I think it's going to feel almost entirely the same. I wonder if they see that. I wonder if they see that, like, for the majority of things that people do. The base mats, making them intermediate mats, is essentially a joke. Making them into HQ intermediate mats is what I mean. So they just go, so why do we have HQ normal mats if people don't even care? Like, these HQ normal mats are essentially just for people who have no idea what they're doing, instead of people actually learning to craft these things. So I don't think it changes anything to anyone who's an experienced crafter, other than just not having the bloat of having both NQ and HQ items. 2, a friend reminded me that there was an in-game trailer with cutscenes and voices sometime after the full trailer. Yeah, those are launch trailers. And the question I'm assuming is, will we have one? Yeah. So that's what we call a launch trailer. We'll probably see it at the next live letter on November 5th. There's a chance they wait like another week or 2. But yeah, that's a launch trailer, and we get those all the time. So we'll definitely get one of those. Hey. Hey. Hey, Ivy. Hey. Yeah, she's in the video now. It's going to make the lightning round take a little bit longer. But okay, she wants gone anyway. There you go. There you go. Yeah, I was holding her for a while before I started the recording, so she was out of her kitty minutes. Well, she's not entirely out of them. Oh, there she goes. Okay. Yeah, so the rest, let me just lightning round the rest real. I'm so tired. I'm so tired. There was a bonus hello to keep in my back pocket. I ended up needing that. Yoshi P said not too long ago that something about making your Rika weapons more soloable. So just so you know, I have soloed them for the most part. The only zone that's kind of tough is Hydatos. And so, it just doesn't end up really making that much a difference, because there's almost always people in the zone that you can play with that, you don't even have to, wait for the soloing or anything like that. So yeah, we'll probably see nerfs to Hydatos. That's the only zone that I don't think has ever been nerfed, and so that will probably be what he's referring to for the most part. They might make nerfs to other zones too, but that Hydatos definitely deserves it. Then there's a question asked if there is a website to get BIS crafted gear for any character level. I mean, I guess it depends on... You mean any level? I mean, that's whatever's on the board is going to be BIS crafted gear. That's it. Literally, if you go to the market board and you look at whatever's crafted for that level, that there's really only ever one set that's crafted for any given level range or item level range. So it's all of those pieces would be it. So, yeah, that. Just go to the market board and find whatever the highest item level piece is for each level range that you're looking for. Next one is, let's see. Oh my god, this one's a lot of text. Potsherd drop rate. Yeah, I talked about potsherds not too long ago. I remember just saying they needed to just make potions purchasable. Just make them cost gil or something. They don't. The whole potsherd thing is just artificially extending attempts, and I think it's silly. If not, just make potsherds drop super frequently. I answered that not too long ago too. But I mean, I don't expect you to know that. I'm just saying that it was recently on my mind. Effect on the leveling experience. Wait, what is this? Is something picked up with a recent activity while the road to Endwalker carries on? Considering the migration, do you think this would have an effect on the leveling experience for those who migrate over to the reduction? No, it's not. I mean, 14 leveling is so easy. It doesn't even matter if you have not good players or good players. Yeah, they'll be faster with good players, but you'll be fine. You don't have to worry about anything. I wouldn't even concern yourself over it. It's not going to make pretty much any difference at all. Ivy. Okay, never mind. I thought she was tearing at the carpet. You can see her. You can see her right here. There she is. Hey. Yeah. Hi. There she is. Someone asking if I'm burned out. A question about this being attended. What stands out as something that blew your mind the most in previous media tours? Nothing really blows my mind so much as I just kind of take things in as they are. So I don't really have an answer for that. It was always nice at the previous ones to get to physically see people that I hadn't seen in a while. So that was always the highlight, was getting to see other people. It had nothing to do with playing the game early or getting to make videos for it. It was always getting to see people and then talk about and share that experience with them there in person, which is always way more exciting than sitting behind a computer screen and doing it with your Twitch chat pogging. But I love my Twitch chat pogging. It's not the same as in person if we were at like a giant fan fest, for example. Then there was another one here. Someone asking about what I think they need to do to repair PvP. I don't PvP much, so I honestly don't think I should say much, but I think the reward structure needs to be better, which they've already said they're working on. I think we need smaller scale modes, which I also think they said they were working on. So those are the two things. Now they just have to do them well, and I think it'll be fine. Wait, what? Oh, then another one of the combo things, which I already spoke about earlier, so I don't need to talk about the one-button combo things again. There's another hello here. Oh my god, there's so many questions. I'm so sorry, I might not get to all of these this week. Why do you think the reason is the 14 community, both casual and high-end, put ultimates on this Mount Olympus-esque impossibility of high... Well, I mean, it is the hardest content in the game. Are being put down by some reasons, daring to think to try it. Even though I ran ultimates to clear people. I don't know, I feel like you're speaking out of such a small subset of people. The people who lord ultimates over other people are so freaking small nowadays that honestly, they're worth ignoring. It's anyone who actually like most people I know who clear ultimates, they don't tell people, oh, don't do it, you can't do it, or like they just make sure that it's clear. They understand, like, listen, if you're gonna do this from scratch, you have no experience with other people who have no experience, be ready for a specific level of commitment. But anyone who's putting people down over ultimates is like, Aloha, what are you doing now? I see you in the back of the camera. Those people are worth ignoring. Just ignore them. People who just gatekeep shit, just ignore them. They're not real people. All right, just that's it. They don't exist. They're not real people, or treat them as such. What are your thoughts on Strangers of Paradise as of writing? That game is going to be great. That's what I think about it. Let's see. I can't answer that one. Yoshipi never said there will be no more limited jobs, so that person's wrong. I don't know where they got that from, but he literally has never said that. So then there's another one here. Something about Living Dead. So asking for Living Dead changes. I mean, please look forward to October 13th to learn if there are any changes. If not, I never really found an issue with Living Dead. I think it's less new player friendly, but in endgame content, we basically treat all invulns the same. If you're going down to 1 HP, there's somebody to Benny you or like double ED you, 2 ED too easy. And that's it. It's like, it doesn't even matter if it's Living Dead or Holmgang or Super Boli. We treat them all pretty much the same. One of them just has a worse condition for if you do not participate in saving the individual. So that's it. I don't think this really... I think people blow it way out of proportion. Let's see. Do you think 14 high-end gameplay is too hard for newcomers, but also too easy when you figure it out? No. I think people convince themselves it's too hard. Because they're looking at something, they're like, oh my god, I don't know what any of that is. I guess I can't do this. And it's like, bro, we all have to learn it. You're just trying to skip to the part where you do it without trying to learn it. So, no, I don't think so at all. At all. What jobs that you played over the years feel like their job identity stayed the same? Monk? Monk? Even with all the changes to Monk, it still always felt samey. So, yeah, I'm going to go with that. I'm going to say Monk. Monk's pretty close, at the very least. Let's see. Then what do we have? God, there's so many. Coming in 7.0, could we see one job per expansion instead of 2? Yeah, I was predicting that years ago, that by 6.0 I thought we'd only have 1. So by 7.0, yeah, I'll definitely see that as a possibility. And we still don't know what they're doing with limited jobs. They haven't told us. They've literally, like, unlike what that other person said, they haven't given us any insight into what they're doing with limited jobs in the future. Let's see. Hi, Haps, what do you think? Looking forward to your answer. I don't think at all. My brain doesn't work. Let's see. Then there's a bunch of just comments. Spread out your videos? No. No, I'm not going to spread out the videos for the friggin' media tour. Why? Nobody else is. I'm not going to do it. Nobody's going to do that. Everyone's going to literally dump it all at once, maybe 5 minutes apart at most. Not even 5 minutes apart. No, everyone's just going to dump it at once. There's no point in delaying it. All the information will be on the internet at that point. Who cares how many are released? It doesn't matter at all. Every 2 years, we do the same thing. We all do the same exact thing. And it goes exactly the same, which is fantastic, by the way. And then I think there were a few other ones that were also here. A lot of comments about the 3,000 materia person from last week. Somebody just said, hi, I love your content. Hi, algorithm. Hey, I like those algorithm comments. Somebody asking how the media tour itself was ran. It was digitally, but I'm not going to say anything else about that till a later date. It's a current group question. Do you think they'll ever go back and do stuff with... Oh, I skipped this one because I had already talked about how they might go back and do trusts for the lower levels, so that kind of... it kind of covered the same thing here, I suppose. Let's see. Then there is the stubble question. Do you think we'll get more hairstyles? I mean, they've already said why stubble is difficult to do and why it's not just an instant ad for everybody. I don't remember the reason, but they have explained it. So I would definitely... it's not as easy as it sounds to just add it, especially when you have to add it across all the things. You know what's one thing I feel like is lost on a lot of people, not you in particular, but just a lot of people, is there's a lot of people look at things that, like, people who do mods, things that mods do, and people who make add-ons or mods, and they go, why don't the developers just do that? And it's because it's much easier to modify a client to do things than it is to actually send data between a client and a server and properly communicate how those things work between information load and things like that. When you're just making something happen on your end and only you can see it and none of that data is being sent to the server, it is much easier than actually incorporating it into the game. So when people ask for things, they ask why, what is the limitation? Normally it's that. It's how they actually communicate all that data and information on top of everything they already have, on top of potentially needing to rework any code that even allows the transfer of that type of data in the first place. Plus they need to be able to receive that data properly on the other. It's a constant send and receive problem. So it's something that I always see people ask why it can or can't be done. And a lot of the times it's because of that. So, hairstyles are definitely easier because they've already built the framework for the characters. They have the ability to change hairstyles already. They have nothing in their code, both on the sending, receiving, and anything that allows them to do this outside of custom scenarios like we see with cutscenes or we see with trailers and whatnot. So there are quite a few things at play here, but they've also said they can do it, and that they said they were going to do it at some point. So there is that as well. Okay, is that the last one? I think that might be the last one. There's the Matsuno, there's the Gold Saucer one, there's one button combo one. There's Legacy Player 1, make a guide for ocean fishing. I made a couple of videos about ocean fishing, but you're right, I don't think there was a guide. Maybe I should look into doing that. And then there's that, visiting another data center, music that lives rent-free in your head, 1.0 lore, question from last week, top 5 RPGs. Then there's one that just asked a bunch of stuff about Mediator. I just skipped right over that one. I think that person will totally understand. They even seem to imply they'll understand, given the comment. Asking if perception will be pointless. No, it should increase the volume of items that you actually get when you gather, if I'm taking what they said correctly. How long do you think Square Enix will keep the 14 engine in the spaghetti code? As long as they can, because it is a massive undertaking to rewrite it. They will need an entirely separate team because they are not going to compromise content release schedules, or they're going to try to minimize doing that. They're not going to do it. They're going to try to focus instead probably on keeping the updates going instead of saying, hey, we need to slow the updates down so we can work on a new engine. And so they'd have to work on the engine simultaneously, and then that's going to take a whole crew of people. So, a very long time. There's someone asking about, like, the ether wheel, too. I've never once used the ether wheel, so I did not feel qualified to answer that. Somebody asking why Dark Knight can't have nice things. And I think that's pretty much it for questions, like, big ones. There's a big wall of text question here. Website for Bisgear. Then there was the leveling question. Yeah, I think I've got everything. I might have missed one or two, but it's a lot of questions, and I got to edit this, I got to render this down, and after the last week, it is the last fucking thing I want to do, but I'm going to do it for all of you. So with that, thank you for watching this week's episode of Mondays with Mr. Happy. Sorry if I didn't seem all the way there in my head. Like I said, it's late, and it's been a time. It's been an absolute time. So thank you, everyone. Be sure to ask your questions for next week in the comment section of the video below, and I will get to those. I promise. Although I hope there's not too many, because I might have a long Q&A next week. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. And until then, take care.